And we're going to start with Linda Lantieri. And Linda's going to focus the conversation for us. Linda has 40 years of experience in the field of education. She's been a teacher, an assistant principal, and an administrator in New York City. And she's the co-founder of Resolving Conflict Creatively. She directs a project called the Inner Resiliency Program. And that program has the mission of cultivating the inner lives of children and of teachers and of schools by integrating contemplative practices into the work. So Linda, welcome.
Thank you. Well, Your Holiness, it's a pleasure to be in your company again. We were together in 1997 when we had a large conference of contemplatives and activists. And although I was a meditator at the time, I think I was invited because I was the activist. I was helping to wage peace in our schools at the time. And I think you heard yesterday how Secretary Arne Duncan was not able to be with us because we're still waging peace and we still have a lot more work to do. At that time, there were over a classroom full of children that were dying to violence every 98 minutes. We were losing our children just to this. And today, we still have that. We have the outward violence, but I think we're also talking today about something that's deeper and close to my heart, and that is cultivating the disposition and the connection between heart and spirit that children need to have and the teachers and the adults in their lives need to have. I think we're talking today about a very different future, a future that's grounded in things like sustainability and compassion and love, a future that is about equity for everyone. And we're trying to figure out the important role schools could play in that. That's been the thread throughout everything I've done. I've been caring about children's hearts and minds and spirits. This is what it's been about for me. Now, I'd like to tell you about something that you may not know a whole lot about in particular way that I'm about to share with you. On September 11, 2001, in New York City, it was a real turning point in my life and my work, because no one would have predicted that moments on that morning in Lower Manhattan, 5,000 children ran for their lives with their 200 teachers who were with them. This is not unlike what people from your culture, the 4,000 children that ran from Tibet to safety in Dharamsala. And on that day, teachers and principals had to make one of the ultimate decisions of their lives, that to save the children would actually mean evacuating the buildings. No one really came to help. They all had to make that decision themselves. So these adults had to get calm. They had to remember how much they love these kids. They had to give that to the children, and then they had to make that ultimate decision to run for safety. I'm happy to say that everybody was safe. But what it began to say to me is, what do we need to cultivate in our children and our teachers to face those challenges and those opportunities that life may bring? They were able to be calm. They were able to do the right thing. They were able to get kids to safety. But if they had to draw from that well again, maybe 2 days, God forbid, from then, there would have been nothing left, you know? So it began to get me thinking, you know, the courageous children, it had little to do with how they did on their reading tests, right, on that day. You know, what it had to do with is whether they were able to stay calm and centered.